I made $56,000 only stock trading this one strategy. I'm going to show it to you right now. So I've traded 4 stocks that I'm going to walk you through and show you what I've done. The first one is SkyWest. This actually came from somebody in the community. They sent it over to me and I said, this is pretty interesting. And when they sent it to me, it was probably somewhere back in here. Stochastic wasn't really ready. You could tell it was going to roll over, but I knew that there was going to be a very, very big opportunity in here. And at this point, this one I'm up about 20% on already. And it's been a very short amount of time. It's been about 2 weeks on all of these. So actually less than 2 weeks. So what are the main things that we look for when we're executing a long-term trade? So these are all long-term trades over here. Sometimes we'll go with a swing trade on the daily chart, but most times in this instance, when the market is so hot and we're starting to get these little cooling off periods, I'm going to look for these longer term trades. And what does that mean? Well, I'm basing it off of the stochastic down here or the trend that goes by a weekly trend. So it's a much smoother. So I can compare these for you. This over here on the right-hand side, and let me get rid of these whiskers. This over here on the right-hand side is the exact same candles as it is on the left-hand side. But what do you notice the difference is? This trend down here is really rather smooth. Not a lot of chaos going on. Over here, it's all over the place. It's showing us the daily trend over here, so day-to-day movements, versus more of week-to-week movements. That's the beauty of the long-term chart. You can catch a trend and let it run for multiple weeks in a row, multiple months in a row. I've been in some over a year, so 52 plus weeks. Now, I'm going to just show a couple of things that I pay attention to on the swing trading chart, then I'm going to get rid of this. But the first one is volume. We always look at volume when we're executing a trade. We want to make sure that in this case, I'm going short, that there are sellers in the stock. I need sellers to be there. And again, think of it this way. Think if you're trying to push a big boulder up a hill. Would you rather be 1 person, 2 people, or 100 people to 1,000 people pushing this boulder up the hill? Well, of course, it makes sense that you would have more people pushing the boulder up the hill, more people going in the same direction. Or let's say you have people pushing the boulder up the hill, pushing the boulder down the hill. It's not really going to go anywhere. You want everybody going in the same direction, pushing that boulder up that hill. In this case, you want volume pushing the stock down, and that's exactly what is happening. So the first thing we're going to look at is volume. We had volume. That's great. So now let's just blow up the long-term chart. Then we start just looking at this and saying, all right, let's zoom out. With SkyWest, I can see that we didn't have this part of the chart at the time that I was looking at it. This is actually my trade, so kind of ignore that. But we noticed that we had this base in here. So the stock price had ran up and it pulled back a little. Then we had a big pullback and it ran up again, right? My thesis was that if we drop below this level, which was a support level. So when we zoom out on charts, we look and say, all right, where is support? So we can kind of draw a line there. We can draw a line probably in here. This here coincides with the low here and the high in here. These are just ways that we could say, okay, the stock is going to probably get held up as it's coming down at this level. When it's going up, it's going to be hard to get through this level right here. And you can see actually that level, you notice here, it was going up, 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 and then it plateaued for a few days and then it went. So it actually did get held up at this level before it went through there. Here I said it needs to drop below this level. If it drops below this, who knows where we can go? And I think we can probably get down to this like 74 level. We'll see in due time. We're still in this trade. But let's look at this. So we noticed that we started getting this movement down. We were starting to pay attention to it, Now, what is the next thing we look for? We look for 3 days in the sweet spot of the trend, three days down there. Now, this day right here, we started to have that downward movement, right? Then we had a big fall right in here, a big engulfing candlestick that took out this day. Now, for myself, what I did is I actually entered on this candle right here. Why? Because I just said, some of you are asking, well, you just said take out this low. Well, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. Taking out this low is going to be relatively easy if you have the sellers on your side, which we did when I showed you the volume on the other chart, and the trend was in the sweet spot moving down. So that is very important. So now I had the trend that was telling me, okay, we're ready to go down. And we had the volume saying, all right, we're ready to go down. So I was pretty confident that this was my buy signal. I was going to buy here and we were going to start to move down. We would break this level, which we did because we had the volume, and it was just going to go down from there. And that ended up being correct. So it's not just one thing that you look for. You have to start piecing these things together, and that's the beauty of the repetition behind trading. That's the beauty of talking to these other people in the community with trading. Now, this was my entry point, and then what happened? It just kept going. So now I'm in this thing, I'm up about 20% on it, and the question, of course, becomes, well, when do you exit something like this? I'm going to exit based on the trend, and some of you may be looking at this saying, well, why wouldn't you just exit right here? It pulled back today. You actually, the stock price went the other day, and yesterday you had a green candle. Why didn't you just exit? Because if I'm focusing down here on my trend, it's not telling me to exit yet. This is telling me that we still have room to go. We can still get down to these levels in here. We can probably get down to $74 a share. And that can happen relatively quickly because there's not a lot of support between 83 and 74. That's why you're looking at this. So when are we going to exit this trade is the real question. When red starts to creep up above 80% or when earnings comes on. You always have to remember when earnings is. Now, the beauty of this trade, we don't have earnings until April 24th. That is a long way away from today is March 12th. We do not have to worry about that. But if this is the case, and we're in this thing and it's taking a long time to get down and earnings comes up on the 24th, well, I'm going to have to exit the trade because I am never in trades during earnings. Some of these other companies we might run into earnings a little bit sooner. So we're going to run through those. So another trade that I'm in right now is CCL. This is another one that was brought to me by the community. A member named Steve Kronk, he trades this all the time. This is one that I had been in for quite some time with a tracker share. What's a tracker share? Well, a tracker share is one share that you have and you see it in your brokerage account every day. That's the beauty behind it. Because I would forget about CCL. Lululemon was another one that I'm going to show you. I would forget about Lululemon if I didn't see it every day. But if I buy one share or sell one share short, I'm going to see it every day in my brokerage account. It's not just going to be over here in my watch list. So the idea behind this one was, well, we have a 50% stock. Here's your high, here's your low, and I'm going back all the way to 2020. And where was the middle ground? Right about here. So all of this, you notice all this blackness, it's all overhang. It's all negative pressure pushing down on the stock. And my thesis behind entering this was, well, we're going to run right here to this halfway line, this 50% line. And what's going to happen? It's going to fall right down. And indeed it did. And it's been doing that for 5 years. Tried to keep up, tried to creep up, fell down. Tried to creep up all through here, 2021, failed. Tried to creep up end of 21. And you can see that it just didn't work. And what's going to push you up into this area? Volume. You don't have that. So what's going to happen? It's going to fail the 50% line. So I was able to determine, all right, we can get interested in this. And let's just say when we break this level, ended up entering on CCL. I'm up about 14% right now. Actually, probably a little less after today. Let's see, I'm probably up about 12% now at this point, but it's ongoing. And the beauty of this one, what? The trend is even better than SkyWest. And why do I say it's better? Because it has runway. You remember SkyWest, you were down here. You were starting to get towards the bottom. This, we still have a lot of room to go. This thing can absolutely get down into this area right here around 17. It could creep down towards 15. I think the low on this, it's potential that it could get to 1350. And why did I know that? Because it was running into this 50% rule. It's never going to break the 50% rule. It's falling apart. My exit will be at one of these points. It's either going to be 1750, 1550, or 1350, but it's going to be completely trend dependent and earnings dependent. When are earnings on this stock? March 21st. So we have 9 days left of this. There might be a point where it doesn't get to 1350 and I have to exit it early. Then I reassess, then I re-enter. Now, another stock, Lululemon, just like I talked about. Lulu is kind of in that similar situation. We were starting to creep up. It wasn't a 50%er, but at one point, and let's just zoom this out. I like to just zoom out for everybody to see. Let's just start drawing some lines here. So if we just draw a line, you can see, obviously, it wasn't able to break above here. This was the point of a big gap down. You had consolidation in here, consolidation here, consolidation all in here. And here were a couple, 3, 4 peaks. Even here was a little bit lower, but it was kind of that level. And that's what I was looking at saying, well, it snuck out a couple of times over the past several years, but really it fails this 400 level every time. And that's exactly what happened again. It failed the 400 level again. But most importantly with this one, let's get my whiskers going. We crossed into the sweet spot for 3 days right here, and we took out this low. Now, what low did I want to take out? I wanted to take out the low of the bottom of these wicks. Why? Because as soon as we took out the bottom of those wicks, what was going to happen? Well, we were going to finish filling this big gap right here, and there was just not a lot of support in there coming down until we got to like $300, $315. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. You can see that this thing is just falling like a hot potato. And the best part is, look where the trend is. The trend is all the way up here. CCL was about here. SkyWest was all the way down here. This has a long runway behind it where we can continue to make money. With Lulu, I'm up about 8.5% right now. Actually, a little more after today. Where are we? We're down about 1%. Okay, so maybe 9.5% today overall. But we're going to see, and another thing I don't talk about enough. See how these two lines are pretty close right here? Then they get wider, and they get wider, and they just keep getting wider. The wider the gap is as you're going down or up, the better it is. The more runway you have, the more confidence that you can have that the volume is going in your direction and there's not a lot of support built into the stock as you're coming down. So where are the earnings on this one? Let's see here. We have to pay attention to earnings April 1st. So we still have a couple of weeks to go. And I'm hoping that we can get down to this maybe 300, 275 range. We'll see what happens. But again, I'm not going to just say, I need to get to 275. I need to make it to 275. No, I'm going to follow the trend. I'm going to follow earnings. Another one, Jets. Jets is a stock that I have been in short with one tracker share. Not a lot of shares, guys. So let's say that I put a tracker in this thing back in August and it was for $16. Well, this thing moved up. I had one tracker share on it. It came all the way up here. I wasn't expecting that to happen. It got to 27. Okay, so I was down $11. That's the beauty of the tracker. It's not a lot of money, but who was the first person to jump in this thing to go short on it? It was me. Why? Because I saw it in my brokerage account every day. And I said, as soon as we break this level here, I wanted to break kind of right in here. This was it. So I entered on this day right here. I did enter a little bit early, admittedly. But my whole thesis was, let's break through these bottoms. See, bottom of that wick, bottom of that wick, bottom of that wick, bottom of that wick, all this consolidation in here, bottom of this candle. There was a lot of stuff going on at this level where I said, okay, if it breaks that level, probably going to fall apart. And you started to see the foreshadowing. The trend was starting to go down. Also, we were starting to get significant selling volume coming in here. So that is what is happening with CCL. And the beauty, look how wide this is. Look, it's getting wider. The red and yellow line are separating even more. And we're just, at this point, it's just printing money. Earlier today, I looked at this. I was up 11.5%. What were we down today? Another 2%. So probably up about 12.5, 13%, somewhere in there. But the beauty behind all four of these trades and the big lesson that I want everybody to take away, just because you're up a significant amount, probably $56,000 at this point, it doesn't mean the trade's over. Follow the trends. Follow this down here. This is what is going to dictate when you exit these stocks and when your trade is over, not dollar amounts or percentage gains. So another reason I love these four trades is these four trades are all from the community. I have to give credit to the community on all four of these. These are not typically stocks, with the exception of Jets that I regularly trade. They were brought to me by the community, and that's what you can expect when you join the community. So if you're trading on your own right now and you have to figure out all of this stuff by yourself, check out my trading community with all of these great people who get the exact chart setup, the chart analysis, the live analysis that I do multiple times per week on live streams, 24/7 community support, not only from me, but also from other community members. And then, of course, behind all of that, you do get direct access to me. And I answer as quickly as I can. And I answer questions based off of day trades, your personal trades, trades that we're doing together. It is a fantastic spot to be, and it doesn't have to be a lonely road. Because trading alone is really hard. It is a very difficult position to be in, and it doesn't have to be that way. Trust me, I was once in that position. Having a process to follow and somebody to walk you through step by step is truly invaluable. And something very underrated, that will keep you clear of making very costly mistakes and probably not ever trading again, saying this really doesn't work. Well, you know what? I can assure you that it does work. I've been doing it for 21 plus years. So if you're interested in this, go and click the link in the description below, as there are limited spaces left in my community. I want to keep it as intimate as possible. So seeing me make these 4 trades is great, but if you want to become a serious trader and do this full-time or even part-time, you need to go watch this next video. Have a great day.